And that little sneaky left uppercut that Nick Ball kept throwing it was landing every time. It was such a telling shot. It's like, how do you not score that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was the best shot like of the fight. Every round he would throw that shot and it just land it. It's like, how do you just ignore that?
So yeah, hi and welcome to Shadowboxruk UK. I'm here with Denzel Bentley, the former British Commonwealth middleweight champion and the current WBO international middleweight champion. How you doing, Denzel? You all right?
I'm all good for yourself.
Yeah, not bad. You looking all relaxed.
Yeah, chilled now, end of the day, so I'm just relaxing.
Good day. I know you was at the gym earlier on. Good session.
Yeah, good session. Back in the gym. Back out soon, so good. Just back in the gym, straight back in, and yeah. I wouldn't say so much ticking over, but yeah, just getting ready for the next one.
Yeah, we'll get to you in a bit. We got to talk about the old 5x5 card out in Saudi Arabia. Didn't realise that you did a bit of a commentary, or punditry, should I say? How was it?
It was good. It was good. I think I'm getting better at it, but yeah, no, it was good. I got to watch the fights and speak on it, so I was watching it from a different perspective. I just planned to watch it at home as a fan of boxing, but I had to really kind of pay attention and give a little insight on some of the fights. So it was good experience.
Does it help you at all with your kind of boxing to sort of see it from a different perspective?
I guess it does, I guess it does, because you get to look at what certain fighters are doing and you pay more attention to it rather than just watching a fight. You're kind of paying attention to, who's doing what and who's more successful at doing what they're trying to do. And then, maybe I can take something from it, or if I fight someone in the future, I can realise that or pick some of these things up because I'm watching it from a different eye.
Yeah. 100%. So for those that don't know, the 5x5 card over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, 5 of Queensbury's finest versus 5 of Matchroom's finest for a share of £3 million. That's nice.
Crazy. That is nice.
That is nice. Is that more than most people would get for a fight then?
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
What is that break down to something like 600k a piece?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're in like a world title fight, a lot of fighters don't see that sort of money. I mean, world title fighters are more likely to see that sort of money, but a lot of these fighters weren't world title fights. I think there was only one world title fight in the bill. The rest were eliminators or just just international bouts.
600k. Do you reckon that they had to share that with Uncle, what do they call him, Uncle Frank?
Uncle Frank, yeah. I mean, he would be the one splitting it, so, he would do what he wants with that, so yeah.
So, 5x5, who was the governor, who was the daddy, Unc or Hearn? So, wow, what about, though? What a card, though, to be fair. What an absolute...
That was a great card. The card was more interesting because of the aspect of it. Like, it was a great aspect, like, just, 5 of my best versus 5 of your best. Everyone's excited to see who's got the better fighters, and, Uncle Frank came out on top with a whitewash. I mean, I don't think anyone expected that. I know, like, Frank and Queensbury would have been hoping for that, but I don't even think they expected that. Do you know what I mean? Because there were some tough fights on that card, a lot of 50-50 fights, and some fights that you're just hoping your fighter can come through. But they all boxed brilliant. They all boxed well and came out on top.
Yeah. So listen, although it's it's great for the sport, it's great for fight fans. Everybody has been talking about boxing becoming a little bit more like MMA, the best fight in the best. Sorry, does the 5x5 format expose so-called top boxing prospects though?
Yeah, I mean, like, exposed is harsh because it's like, okay, the way boxing is, everyone tries to guide their fighters and get them in a position so they can, fight for, high accolades or earn good money. And I can understand that. But at the end of the day, a fight's a fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone that beats someone else, you know what I mean? Like, so if there's 3 fighters, they can all beat each other. It doesn't mean one person beat that person, so they're going to beat... It just doesn't work out like that. It's just different styles. As they say, styles make fights. So, I mean, a lot of these guys went out there. I mean, apart from Ray Ford, he was a world champion, and he can be a world champion again. Everyone on that card has the potential to be a world champion. They're all that good, even the ones that lost. Do you know what I mean? Or if not become a world champion, just have a potential to compete at a certain level. Just on that night, whoever they were fighting, they couldn't figure out their style, or they just wasn't better than them on that night. But that doesn't mean these guys aren't good fighters. It just means I just didn't know how to figure out that style.
Do you know what? To be fair, I don't actually care when people say, if they take a loss and then their career's finished and all of that. Honestly, I don't actually care. But I understand the implications in terms of like funding, in terms of teams sticking by you, etc., etc. But I think actually this is probably a really good format. I think it's more like, or it will become more like the MMA, which is what everyone's saying is literally the best fight the best, and on the night whoever wins wins, and then let's crack on to the next. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think as fighters, like everyone, people will fight each other. Like everyone, I don't think anyone's fears anyone. I just think sometimes the reward has to match the level of risk, and then then they'll be like, okay, cool, I'll be compensated well, like it's worth it, rather than going to a fight where they won't be compensated well and they might come out of a loss, and now it's like, where did they go in their career? But if you've been compensated well, I mean, like you've got something to fall back on. I guess it doesn't really hurt as much because you've been paid well. So I think that's the only issue. But where everyone's boxing out in Saudi and Turkey, Al Sheikh is paying these guys handsomely. I mean, they're more inclined to fight these people and not try and protect their O's in ways where they're, dodging fights and stuff. Like everyone that got called up for the opportunity said yes, I'm guessing. I think everyone that was called up for the opportunity, they were the first people to receive the call, and they all said yes. Because it's a great concept. Why not be a part of history? This is the first one as well. If it's the first of many, everyone's always gonna remember the first one. You're a part of history. So I think it was good that all those people took part in it and got paid well and got to compete.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point as well, that they're all going to be paid, win or lose, handsomely. And yeah, it kind of then justifies the loss, whoever took the loss, obviously.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
of course.
I totally agree with you. I just think sometimes the general public don't understand that the reasons why maybe some people aren't going to take so-called risky fights. You know what I mean?
Hope you're enjoying our content. Please do me a favour. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when our new content drops.
Some of the fights though on that night. Let's talk about the Hutchinson versus Richards. It was a light heavyweight competition for the vacant WBC silver light heavyweight title. Oh my days!
Yeah.
What a fight!
That shocked me. I honestly felt like Craig was the favourite going into that fight. I felt like Willie was probably the least experienced. I didn't really take his loss as too much as a concept of this fight because that was at the weight below. I feel like he might have taken a bit too much off himself, and that light heavyweight, he's looked stronger and he's looked better. And obviously he's gotten a little older as well. But I just felt like Craig had boxed at a higher level, boxed fighters that are, possibly better than Hutchinson at this stage anyway, in terms of guys like Boatsy, Bivol, and they haven't been able to beat him the way Hutchinson beat him. Do you know what I mean? Hutchinson beat him really well. Beat him convincingly. Craig couldn't figure out his style. Craig found himself chasing and missing big shots, and Hutchinson was just really enjoying his time in the ring. I
He
mean, that
was.
was someone before that fight that hadn't been past 7 rounds. And he was, dancing around, making a miss, switching south or orthodox, just confusing Craig and put on a really great, impressive performance. So that was good for him.
To be honest, so ahead of the fight, people were saying that he was getting a little bit too cocky.
Yeah.
And to me, I wasn't sure whether, that's cockiness or whether it was he's just self-assured, because I've heard really good things about him. I think he was at the same gym at one point as Bradley Skeet. And
Okay.
I've heard loads of really great things about him. So I was like, okay, maybe he really is that good. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, obviously a loss doesn't define you. But he did say ahead of the fight, watch, you haven't seen what I can do. And yeah, we hear this all the time, don't we? But like, listen, I didn't expect that, to be fair.
Yeah. I think that was the only fight on the card. Well, I always said I've seen Queensbury, so I'd wanted it to be a sweep anyway. But that was the only fight on the card that I was pretty sure of in terms of who would win. That's the only fight where I said, yeah, I think Craig's got this. Every other fight was like, oh, if they can do this and if they can do that, this guy can win. That was the case for everybody. Hutchinson was the only person I couldn't make a case for because, like you said, we hadn't seen the best of him yet. Do you know what I mean? Everyone he'd fought was like international level. We didn't know how good his opponents were. He hadn't fought anyone of any note yet, so we didn't know how
Yeah.
good he was. But yeah, he showed how good he was. The other night against Craig Richards.
Listen, not only did he show how good he was, flipping it, like you say, he made it look no disrespect to Craig, right? But he made Craig look average. I'm going to be honest. He made him look really, really average. Like you said, he couldn't work him out. And then every time I think, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Hutchinson kept switching. Yeah. He's then getting confused.
Yeah.
He couldn't get set.
Couldn't get set, yeah.
Do you know the other thing that I noticed about him? And I've noticed this before. And again, I don't know whether this has a bearing or not. But Richard, his stance is far, far too wide. And so he has trouble getting out of trouble, using his feet to get out of trouble. He gets backed up.
I see that, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? He was going back in straight lines. And I was trying to think, have I ever seen that from him before?
It was a weird performance. I'll be honest with Craig. I didn't expect that. Like you said, like he got caught going backwards in straight lines, and his head was coming up high, and then like going forward, he was just chasing. And I think his stance was quite wide because he has long limbs, so I think that's why. But I mean, like he just wasn't using his angles or anything. He was just straight lines, forward and backwards. It was
forward and backward. He wasn't using any angles. Literally, I was just like, what is going on? And no, like I say, no disrespect, because like I say, I'd heard about Hutchinson, but hearing and seeing are two different things. Like, you know, I've known Bradley a long time, known him since the amateur, so I kind of know that can gauge, like, if he says he's decent, he's decent. This is, we spoke about him a long time ago. You know, I expected him to be the better boxer, technically the better boxer.
Yeah.
But like, hey, fair play to him, you know. I think one thing that Richard showed is heart. He's got a big set of kahunas.
Yeah.
And there's one thing they were saying, though, that he looked like he aged, like, ahead of the fight.
Yeah,
what was your take on that?
Possibly. He is 34, but he's someone that keeps fit. He's always in the gym. I've never really seen Craig out of shape, even out of camp. Like, even when he was inactive for a bit, I saw him a few times and he looked in decent shape to me. He didn't look like someone that, you know, lived reckless life outside in terms of like diet and drinking and stuff. He looks like he's always, you know, quite in shape. So, you know, it's hard to say that, but he looked like he aged overnight. But, you know, that just could have been the style of Willie Hutchinson. We don't know if Craig continues to box. We have to see how he looks in his next outing, because he did box just in March, I think, against that Crichton, and he knocked him out in about 3 or 4 rounds. So it's just hard to say, oh, he's been inactive, so he looks old, because in that fight he looked all right and got a knockout, but he just couldn't figure out Willie Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson's movement and his relaxedness and the switching and just the confidence all confused Craig. He didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. What I mean by when they say, I think the aging part is not necessarily, I agree, he probably stays in great shape, but you know as well as I know, once you've been bashed and, you know, you've sparred, you know, hundreds of rounds or whatever,
that's true,
that can have a bearing.
Takes a toll on you,
yeah. What I will say though about Richard is just his, like, when he did start to turn the fight around, and then I was like, oh man, you come too late.
Too late,
do you know
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
He started to turn the fight around, and then it just, at that point, I think he was just knackered. Hutchinson was really knackered. But what I think it showed is they've both got huge heart. And I thought it was a great fight, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a good fight to set off as well. Like it just set the bar. It was like, wow. Like every fight's got. If that was like the least exciting fight on the card, which it wasn't, but just by statistics, then the rest of them are going to be brilliant, and they all were.
Yeah. Nick Ball versus Raymond Ford.
Yeah.
For the WBA featherweight title. Again, who did you have ahead of the fight? Who did you have?
I had Nick Ball ahead. I think Nick Ball done a lot of his work in the early rounds. Ford finished strong later, but I think it was too late. I think Ford won the first round for me, and everything up to round 7 I gave to Nick Ball. And then from round 7, 8, Ray Ford started taking over a little bit, landing his shots and doing what he needed to do. His corner were giving him instructions, and he just couldn't follow them early. And then when he started listening and getting off his work, he got back into the fight. But I don't think he won every round at the back end of the fight. I think he might have lost a round or two, which obviously cost him the fight, because he let a lot of the early rounds go just because he allowed Nick Ball to push him back, control the pace, punching combinations, and that little sneaky left uppercut that Nick Ball kept throwing it was landing every time. It was such a telling shot. It's like, how do you not score that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was the best shot like of the fight. Every round he would throw that shot and it just land it. It's like, how do you just ignore that? You can't. I've picked Ball in a close fight. It wasn't wide for me, but I think Carl Frampton had it wide for Ball, but I had it quite close.
So ahead of the fight, I think I was with everybody. I thought Ford was gonna win this fight.
Yeah,
I didn't. That was probably one of the few fights that I was like, oh, definitely that's going to be a Ford fight. How wrong was I? In terms of that little sneaky uppercut,
yeah,
telling shot is when his head just kept getting,
yeah,
it kept getting
yeah.
rocked back. You couldn't ignore it. But what surprised me is that he was able to do it every single round. Like, at what point do you think I might have to defend that?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean that fight for me was close. I thought Ford would win, but like I said, our team pleased me, so I wanted Nick Ball to win. And plus, I felt like Nick Ball deserved it after his last outing when he got the draw, when he probably could have won. But either way, that doesn't matter. It's boxing. If you don't win, you don't win. But that shot, the reason why I kept landing because he kept throwing in combinations. He'd throw like 3, 4 shots and then throw that shot. So it was like you're blocking the rest, and then that one comes under. You don't know when it's coming. So he disguised it very well. It wasn't like he just
Yeah.
came out and threw it off, straight off every time. So it was hard to read that shot. He might throw 3 shots and then throw that shot, and then throw 4 shots in the flurry and then throw that shot. So he just needed to be out of the way. He was trying to bully the bully a bit too much. And if Ray Ford used his boxing ability early, that might have won him the fight. But he was just boxing wise, he's the better boxer. But he was trying to bully the bully, which I can understand. But in this case, Nick Ball has a great engine and he's tough as old boots. So he just fell into his game. But later in the later rounds, when he started using his distance and catching him with them shots from outside, that's when he started catching some nice shots from last. I think he caught him with a left hook and a left uppercut, like in one combination. But yeah, Nick Ball's work was brilliant, man.
It was brilliant.
Ford needed to be out of the way a little bit more.
Yeah, I think there was a lot. I mean, listen, a bit of toe-to-toe action is always good, but I think, like you say, they're trying to bully the bully. At some point, you've got to change something up. Ball was relentless. He's literally like, I'm going to have the last say. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to have the last say.
Yeah, every time. And I think he came with that, with a bit of like vengeance, like no, I need to make sure I grab it this time because I let it slip the first time. So I need to make sure my work is telling. I'm gonna go first and third. If he gets me, I'm gonna finish the exchange every time, and that's what he done. So he had a bit more to fight for than Ford. So yeah, that's probably why he nicked it as well, just because of how he felt going in there.
I think Ford at some points, like he took his foot off the gas. He had some opportunities, and then he just for some reason just did jump on him. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know whether. I'm not saying that, sometimes when you're going into a fight and you've got the belt, you're the favourite. Is it hard then to get up for the fight? Because at some point I was thinking, you're letting these opportunities just slip through your hands. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it shouldn't because he knew what was at stake. Do you know what I mean? He knew what was at stake, so it shouldn't. But it probably can. I don't want to give him any excuses, but he wanted to move up anyway. But he stayed down one more. He stayed down at the weight for this last fight. And he probably, I don't know, maybe the strength of Nick Ball was a bit much. And he thought if I open up, he's going to catch me in between. So I don't want to open up too much. I need to keep the defense tight. But yeah, who knows? But you are right. There was a few times he landed some shots. And I just thought, right, step on it now. And he just didn't. He just kind of tucked up and waited for Nick Ball to finish before he went again.
And by the time he waited, Nick's like, I'll just nick some of them. I'll nick that.
That's it. I'll take that. A bit more of that. Yeah, literally.
Filling his pockets, wasn't he?
Literally.
No, fair play to him. Listen, was that the fight of the night for you?
Yeah, it might be. That was. Yeah, no, there were some good fights. It was crazy. Dubois and HrGovic was good fight as well. Hamza and Ammo were good fights, but yeah, I think Nick Ball and Ford. That was every fight was a good fight, but that was a good fight. It's hard to pick fight of the night, but yeah.
I think in terms of just like technically, I think it was so strategic. Both of them were just quite smart, very clever boxers.
Yeah,
Not to say that anybody else isn't. But you're right, in other ways, Ammo Williams versus Hamza Shiraz. So you obviously had an eye on that, being a middleweight yourself. Flipping out. Another one.
That was a good fight. I mean, the second round, Ammo hit Hamza with a straight left hand and it rocked him. But then I've always said Hamza's a very disciplined boxer. Like he wouldn't be reckless. So he just tucked up and waited till he'd recovered, and then fought, a safe fight, threw his jab, everything off the jab, a few backhands, covered up, got back in his guard. He's got a very tight guard, and Amel was just being reckless. The first 30 seconds of every round, he came up with a big flurry, then he'd start slowing down. So Hamza would just, catch the flurry on the gloves and then the elbows and then come back with his shots. And when he switched the shot from the right uppercut to the right hook, that's when it was the beginning of the end. Yeah.
That was just, to be fair, good. I think was it him that leant on the ropes? Oh no, that was Willie Hutchins that leant on the ropes that time. Just leant on the ropes and just threw one up.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
Yeah. Yeah, but Hutchinson's the guy that's got the skill to do that. Like, he's very light on his feet, very elusive. He can do things like that.
Yeah, all the hype around Hamza Shiraz, I gotta say, the last few fights, he is proving that the hype is real. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he boxed really, really well on Saturday night. Like you said, he doesn't panic, does he? When, like you say,
Yeah.
when he's under pressure. Great boxer, always been a great boxer, to be fair. I liked him when he was keeping his little long range, just occasionally,
Yeah.
if you dare.
Yeah. That's what the advantages he's got. He knows his advantages and he uses them well, to be honest. So it's good.
Did you rate that Ammo Williams before the fight?
I'd sparred him a few years back when Regis Progress came down to box Taylor. He came down with them in their camp, and me and him done rounds for that week. And I knew we could punch. That might have been 2019, I think, just before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID because I met him then as well.
Yeah.
He was, let's just say, he's quite confident, isn't he?
Yeah, very confident. Very, very confident guy. So, like, yeah, he was throwing some good. He had a lot of power in his backhand. And I remember that. But then obviously he had a few, like, mental troubles along the way. And then he'd been inactive. And then, like, don't really know he recovered. But he's still a dangerous guy. So even with that fight, I was like, oh, if Hamza can take a shot, then he might win on points. But he took the shot and won by knockout. So, listen, yeah, you can't fault his performance.
You can't fault his performance. Williams, listen, he had a gallant effort. But for me, I think he took way, way too much punishment.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a tough guy, so his coach know how tough he is. His coaches know how tough he is, so they're probably thinking, you know what, this guy's he's a big punch, he's got to punch his chance. But then there's a point where it was like, listen, man, his shots ain't even affecting Hamza no more, and there's only so much, you want to see him take. Like he's being hurt here. Like every shot Hamza threw, this guy was reacting too much.
Yeah.
Like he was, so it's like, yeah, you know what, it's enough.
That's that, and even if, as the trainers, they know him and they can say that they know he can take a punch, etc. At some point, somebody, the ref even, somebody just step in, because it actually became quite uncomfortable to watch. If I'm honest,
it did, yeah, it did. The ref stepped in at the right time, and even when the ref stepped in, he didn't complain. He didn't complain. It was perfect still.
he was like, listen, I think he was wondering, like, really? You let it go on. Yeah. I mean, you've got to save a fighter from themselves. It took
100%.
that long, and for me, like I say, and I've been around the boxing a long time, it started to make me feel very, very uncomfortable. But listen, let's not take anything away from Hamza Shiraz.
Yeah.
Daniel Dubois versus Filip HrGovic for the IBF interim heavyweight title. Thoughts?
What a performance from Daniel. I'll be honest, I didn't expect that from Dan. He came out on fire and he kept that pace throughout the fight to the 6th round where he stopped him. I thought he's going to slow down soon. He's going to slow down, but he just came with so much ferocity. Like, it's like a man possessed. Like, he just hated HrGovic and just wanted to hurt him at all costs. HrGovic looked shattered from like the 3rd round onwards. Like, his posture was all over the place. He looked knackered. He couldn't believe the pace that Dan was setting. Dan set a great pace, and yeah, he cut up his eyes and he just beat him up. He beat him up.
He gave him licks.
He beat him up, yeah.
Bare licks. But the thing that I can't understand, right, is you say, if you watch Daniel Dubois, even from an amateur, for such a big fella, he's a little bit like a Fury, that he's nimble on his feet. He's
100%.
Great athleticism. How are you coming in unconditioned?
I say that as well. Even when he used to train with us, I used to say Dan's very light on his feet for a big guy. Very light on his feet. He moves. I mean, with someone like that, listen, and he hits really hard. you just got to hit him harder than he hits you. I mean, like heavyweights they're one punch away from from anything. So it probably is hard to prepare from Dan, especially now with this like new lease of life where he proved in the Miller fight that he isn't a quitter and he can go through the gears and he can do it. I think he needed to prove that to himself more than anyone else. So now that he's proved that and he believes it himself now, I think he's going to be a tough man to beat.
I have to agree. First and foremost, I don't think it helps, and I don't fully know the reasons why he keeps changing trainers, whatever. But it doesn't really help that aspect of things, because then you've got to get used to a new trainer, how they talk, how they train people, etc. But Don Charles, I should say, they seem to have. I don't know whether it's because he's older and maybe he reminds him of his father or something like that, but they seem to have gelled. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, Don Charles is a good fit for him. And Don Charles is someone that's like, I mean, the few times I spoke to him, I get the gist that he's a very patient person and he's caring. I know Dan's got his dad, but he's probably like another father figure. Like you said, I think he reminds him of his dad. He's always going to make sure he's good. And I'm not saying like his other previous coaches didn't, but maybe it's just a different feel with the way Don Charles approaches Dan. Dan might really like look up to him and feel like, I don't want to let you down type of vibe. Do you know what I mean? And I think you need that in a coach. You look in your coach's eyes and you feel like, I don't want to let this man down. Then
It's true.
you know what I mean, that you know you're with the right person. Whereas if you're just there and you're like, oh yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're not with the right coach. You know what I mean? You have to kind of have that feeling, yeah.
That and the fact that I think when he speaks, he's got an authority in his voice. He's very quietly spoken, but he's no Mickey Mouse trainer. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think, like you say, ahead of the fight, the whole quitter tag, people were calling Dan a quitter in the past. Do you think after that performance, he has cemented his status as a real heavyweight contender?
100%. After a performance like that fight with him and AJ is a lot more interesting now. Now it's like, if Dan comes out like that against AJ, he could beat him. Do you know what I mean? Now it's more, there's more questions around it. Like, people feel like Dan can punch, he sets a high pace. Can AJ deal with that? Like, he's going to give trouble to AJ. A lot of people were saying that HrGovic is an easier fight for AJ than Daniel. You'd want HrGovic to win. Do you know what I'm saying? So that pace he set, I was just so surprised about the pace he set. It was crazy. It was just like, he's coming for him. And if he comes for AJ like that, I mean, it's going to make for an exciting fight because AJ's a big man. He's a strong man. He's not going to back down. He's going to throw some shots too. They both hit really hard.
Yeah.
And I think Dan, like I said before, he's fought those demons now about quitting and it's getting hard now. Let me stop. He's fought those demons, so he knows he can get through that. So it just makes for a more exciting fight. No one can say, "Oh, it's gonna get hard for Dan in there, and now he's gonna quit," because he's past that. He's fought that demon and he's got rid of it. So any fight he's in now is exciting, and that fight of AJ now is extra exciting.
It is exciting, and like you say, I think beforehand everyone was kind of like, well, is he really of the caliber to fight AJ? And now it's like, well, there's been talk since, hasn't there?
Yeah. There has been talk since. They said that. I think I see something about Frank's already reached out and they're in talks with Team AJ and all of that stuff. So it's gonna be exciting, man.
And also, he's coming into his own a little bit. I mean, HrGovic was getting a bit, let's say, he was a bit arrogant with some of the comments that he made. And Dan's now starting to stand up for himself, isn't he? And,
Yeah.
And also, I think he was saying with his performance, put some respect on my name. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's it. Yeah, no, it's true. I think he's just had enough of everyone just saying he's this and that. And now it's like, F everyone. I don't care.
True.
If you come for me, I'm coming back. Like, I'm standing up for myself now. I'm putting my foot down. You're not just gonna walk all over me because you feel like I can't talk. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, even if it doesn't make sense. I'm gonna let you know I'm not having it.
Listen, if I don't make sense out of the ring, I will tell you in the ring. He kicked him up.
Yeah.
The first round I was a little bit like, okay, this is not going well. HrGovic was like finding that backhand all day long, wasn't he? And then I think Don Charles just keep it simple, just double up the jab.
Double
It was
jab,
literally
double
just
jab,
like, double up the jab.
Yeah, simple as that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Backhand. And then and I think it was the mixture of basics versus calmness equals switches Dan on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't complicate it for him, and he would do it. He'd go through the gears. He's just double jab right hand, and he was finding it. Once he started finding his range and finding his shots, that was the beginning of the end.
All day long. Yeah, listen, he was looking fresh. He was looking athletic. He's now sort of, to me, like you said, he's cemented his place. And I think that AJ fight, I'm up for it. I'm all about that fight now.
Yeah, same, me too.
Do you reckon they'll put that on before they do the Fury one, though?
Yeah, I think that's out in September, they said. And then
Really?
Fury's in
Okay.
December.
Okay. Yeah, great fight. And then I didn't see the Bivol fight. I'm not even going to lie. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, Bivol, I forgot the guy's name he fought, but he started really fast and started catching Bivol with some shots, and Bivol was getting really annoyed, and I think that's what caused Bivol to stop him, because he was annoyed. Like, you know what, I'm just going to beat you up there, and he ended up stopping him, because I haven't seen that sort of performance from Bivol from a long time. I thought we was in for a long night, but yeah, he got him out in 6 rounds, so...
I think he was just vexed that
he was vexed. He kept thinking,
knocked.
how are you hitting me? How are you hitting me? That's what he's thinking, like, who are you? How are you hitting me? No, I'm not having it.
But not only that, he got knocked off the top, you know, you're supposed to be...
Yeah,
do you know what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah. Unification fight, meant to be undisputed fight, like... biggest night of his life just turned out to just be I keep taking over fight or whatever.
A supporting role.
Yeah, supporting. Yeah, right in the middle of the card, a supporting role. But it was still a good card, even if Bivol got taken off that card, like all together. That was a great card. I mean, even when that fight fell through, it didn't affect that 5v5 kind of concept. It was still like, yo, it's so exciting. It's not like, oh, the headline's gone now. The show ain't gonna be that good. That show was good without that headline.
True.
That show would probably help in that headline. I'm not the headline was a cracking fight. I mean, but usually when you get fights like that, the supporting cards, it's just really just a bunch of prospects, and there might be one other title fight. It's never really an exciting card. But yeah, that was going to be
that was like the sprinkles on the top of an already tasty.
Yeah. That was like, oh, you're spoiling us. Yeah, you're cool. We'll have a bit more. Yeah.
Listen, Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Zhilei Zhang with that Chinese power.
Wow. I thought Zhang would have won on points. I thought Zhang was very slow in the Parker fight, so I thought he's not going to jump on the finish here. And Wilder hasn't looked the same for a while. I thought maybe Zhang on points. But Zhang said, you know what, I'm rolling back the years. The Parker fight, you know, I messed up a lot. I let a lot. I got too overconfident. I was too chilled. Like, let me not do that again. And yeah, man, he was on it.
Do you know what? I think Wilder has done well with the skill set that he possesses, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean that as a disrespect. I'm just keeping it real, right? I'm just keeping it real. For me, I quite like the change up. I quite like the humility, but with the humility, he's kind of lost the fire. And he was too tentative going into this fight. Like, he didn't even use his jab. He was like...
Yeah, he was just like palm with it and then just not shooting the backhand.
Nothing.
I think he's human now. He's not the monster no more. He's not Wilder. He's not the bronze bomber. Whatever he's done with himself has just made him completely human. He hasn't got that fight in him no more. He's no longer a fighter. I mean, when that happens, I think it's time to retire. I think I saw Sugar Ray Leonard say that in the past. He said one time he went into a fight and everything hurt and he just knew, I'm human again. I'm no longer a fighter. I'm not built for war no more. And I've heard he's done some Wilder. He's done a spiritual cleanse that kind of helped him fight his demons and, you know, brought him at peace and stuff, and which is good for him. But that's, you know, a life. That's something you should have done after you retired from boxing and relieve yourself from that stress. But right now, it's just not working for him.
So ahead of the fight, Deontay Wilder said that he had to win this fight or his career was over. So, in your opinion, is Deontay Wilder's career over?
Yeah, but not because he lost, because he's not wild. Like, he's not wild. He hasn't got that fight in him. Even when he said that, I didn't believe him. I'm looking at him and I'm saying, this isn't the same feel I get for a Wilder fight. For a Wilder fight, you know the guy, he wants to hurt. He was talking about killing someone legally. Like, this guy he's a dangerous guy. You can see in his face, the pain he walks around with, and he's excited about hurting people and crushing people. He's just excited about. He just wasn't. He's not that no more. He just talks a lot about. He was trying to convince us of what he used to be, and it's like I didn't believe it. I didn't see it. That's why I picked Zhang on points. I just thought Wilder's not the same person, and I think his link up with Malik Scott probably isn't the best neither. I mean, Wilder at this age, at this stage of his career, he shouldn't be. You shouldn't be trying to change his style. That's something you get hold
100%.
of early. A young Wilder would have been able to adapt to these things, but he has novice level skill, but elite level power. Not world class power, elite level power, and that's what's made him a world class fighter. It balanced out. All he knew is power. His recklessness and his unorthodoxness and his weird style and the way he just does mad things is what got him this far. You can't read the guy. You can't pin him down and be like, he's going to throw this. You don't know what he's going to throw or where he's going to throw it from. And he just carries 2 bricks for hands. So it's like, when he lands, it's going to hurt. So you just know that. So now at this stage, you just got to make him better at being awkward and landing that shot. You can't make him a box. Even the instructions in the corner, I'm hearing Malik Scott saying stuff like, yo, you got to pin that, hold him with that jab and the come. He's not taking in that
Man's like,
information.
what?
He's thinking, oh, what do you mean? He's not taking in that information.
Yeah.
Like in the corner, you don't need too much info anyway. But Wilder's the guy, you need to fire him up. You should have been telling him, yo, we need just land the shot, throw your right hand, like land it. There's too much technical stuff, too much technical information you're giving to the least technical boxer we've ever seen.
So, talking about, first of all, changing trainers, this is an argument as to why you shouldn't change trainers. Because, listen, if you and I and the world from the outside can see, these are the set of skills that he possesses. This is what we need to motivate him to get to trigger off these set of skills. And he couldn't even do that. And that's his job. So that's the first thing. The other thing about Wilder being this, I want to kill you, and I'm not sure he's the one that said about eating babies. I think that was Tyson. But we know it was play acting, but he put that character on and he really played it with like proper vigor. Do you know what I mean? Before the fight. And so he was able to whip us all up, whether you loved him, hated him, thought he was a pile of shit. How the hell does he possess that power in those, those 2 hands, and yet he ain't got like feet even. Do you know what I'm saying? But people either love to hate him and then, like you say, and I didn't know about this spiritual thing, but something changed, and allegedly he's always been like that. He's always been a really nice guy. I've been told that. Behind the scenes, he's a really decent guy, always has been. That other stuff was play acting. But it was almost like he shed that character. And then with shedding that character, he shed, like you say, the awkwardness, the throwing shots from all different angles. And you know as well as I know, like, sometimes they're the worst boxers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because they're throwing the shot and you're like, hold on a minute. It's so unorthodox.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You can't read it. It's not like, sometimes the well-schooled boxers are the better ones to fight or even spar, because you look at them like, this is coming. When you're fighting someone, and you're getting over a novice, and they're going to hit you by accident. You know what I mean? They're going to hit you by accident on purpose. Like, I was meant to move, but I didn't know where it was coming from. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And he seemed very, very tentative. And listen, I'm with you. I think, and I don't mean this as a disrespect, he's been a great entertainer. He's been a great ambassador. The fact that what he came into the sport to do, he's achieved way, way, way beyond that. But now it just becomes painful. It was apparent to me he did not want to be there. The fact that when he got hit with that shot, and I don't know if was it a body shot or right? No, it was a right hand. He got done with a right hand. And he twizzled round like a novice.
He turned around like a novice and started pointing at the ref like he was about to complain. But it was like, you got hit with a punch. What are you complaining about? Took his eye off the ball and got hit again. But it was why are you spinning around? But then in his public workout, he's missing and spinning around. But no one's telling this guy in camp, stop spinning around. What are you doing? So he's carried that into the ring with him. However you want to put it, like he just thinks it's okay to spin around. I just don't understand that. Like,
and this is what makes me think, as people just like used and abused him then. I mean, and I know, okay, he's come out of it and he's a rich man and everything, but like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, he got to the Olympics with his power and his skill set. Became a world champion with his power and his skill set. I just think trying to change him at that stage of his career and at that age was the completely wrong move. This is someone that's, yeah, he's very athletic, but he's not someone that, you know, he's probably not even someone that boxes to instructions. He just, he has, you know, when they say intrusive thoughts win, he looks like his intrusive thoughts win every time. He just does what he's thinking, like, rah, I'm gonna do this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he just that's how he boxes. I mean, he just gotta try and learn how to fire him up and just get him going. Let's fire him up and he'll do the rest.
I'm laughing because it's not funny, but so I've coached people before where you say to them, just throw a jab or a jab cross, and they'll do a jab hook, you know,
Anything else but what you
uppercut,
asked,
left hook. And you go, I didn't ask for all of that.
Yeah.
And I used to think it was really disrespectful. And then it was only over time I was like, actually, they just can't compute what I'm telling them to do.
Yeah, they just don't know how to take in instructions and act on it. It's just like, how do I do that? Oh, okay, I feel like doing this. I'm gonna, like that's what their body's telling them to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's just how it is sometimes.
It's just the way you said, well, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing this.
Yeah, they don't even mean to. It's like, oh, my bad, coach.